You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 366, The Final Hype, The Bad Batch. We are, just like 2 weeks away from the premiere of the 70-minute episode, the premiere episode of the Bad Batch series on May 4th. And we haven't had a chance really to talk about the new trailer. I think we kind of teased that a couple episodes ago and said we were going to come back. So this is going to be a show where we're going to break down the trailer, kind of talk about the things that are there, speculate on a lot of stuff, and hopefully just end the show on some further speculation, things that we would like to see. We'll talk about cameos and, are there going to be any big reveal moments like we've had in some of the other series and movies and all that great stuff. So joining me tonight is none other than Mr. Jonesy. Jonesy's here to help me do all of that. How are you?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. This is, we weren't planning on doing a show. We were going to kind of defer this a little bit later, but things worked out. So I figured let's just get it done and we'll get this out to the Patreon folks first. So unless you're with us live, then you get to see it.
Yeah,
what were you going to say, sir?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It feels like we haven't done a Final Hype show in a while, which has probably just been like 2 months, but here we are.
You're right. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think we have really much in the way of news. I mean, we covered pretty much everything last week. Right. A lot of spoilers if you're into spoilers, but we don't do that on the show, not live anyway. So,
right.
But okay, let's do this. Let's get into it. I want to let me share the video, and what I'm going to try to do is share the video without any audio, because I guarantee you YouTube is going to go and pull this off. Facebook will pull it off. It happens every time we get flagged for showing this clips, and then we dispute it, and it eventually gets released and everything's fine. So, and we are undisputed, by the way. I think we're like 32-0 right now, so we've not lost one dispute yet. But yeah, we're gonna wait. Where's the wood? Knock on the wood. We're going to step through the trailer. No, I was already watching it again. So, but before we do that, let's just talk about this real quick. Sorry. Okay, so tale of the tape. So created by Dave Filoni. This was an idea for him to kind of continue the series with the Bad Batch and follow these characters. However, I think it's pretty well known that this was something that was in Lucas's head, right? I mean, he always kind of had this envision. And before we get any further, I just want to kind of off the script here question. Lucas said they're not superheroes, but I've always seen them as like superheroes, like the closest that we have. I mean, apart from the Jedi, I get it, yeah. Right. But apart from the Jedi, these do feel like the superheroes of Star Wars. Am I wrong in feeling that way? Is there any wrong in feeling that way?
No, I mean, we always presented the ARC troopers, the Republic commandos, and this fits right into that Republic commando kind of feel. And we know that Echo was an ARC trooper. I mean, ARC troopers have been around. So I think this is a thing that is just natural for these to feel like really special kind of super soldiers, right? They're these characters or these units that are highly customized, highly specialized, and highly talented in what they're doing, infiltration and everything else. So it makes a lot of sense that there's a lot of hype around these types of small groups. And I mean, we've had video games that are just now getting re-released about it too. So I think with Bad Batch, I think it fits perfectly with that narrative that you have a unique group of especially early on in the clones, right? Where you have some variability and you have something really unique about them. And I think that's what makes this special and all the more interesting to figure out where it goes from here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I agree. They will always be the superheroes to me. I mean, they have extraordinary abilities. They may not fit the typical mold because they're clones and all that, but that's kind of their unique thing. So, we've got Jennifer Corbett as the head writer. And so I'm assuming this is the same kind of thing with like Mando, right? There's stories by Filoni, stories by Favreau. There may be somebody else that's penning these things, more like in the vein of Star Wars Rebels, or more in the vein of the last season of the Clone Wars. But and she's done some other stuff. I was looking at her work. She's done like NCIS and a couple other things too. So I mean, she's not new, right, by any means.
Right.
Brad Rouse, supervising director, and then the actors. I mean, we got D. Bradley Baker, Ming-Na Wen, Stephen Stanton. I forgot to put the gentleman's name that does what's his face, Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Because we had a change in actors, right?
Yes, we did.
And Tarkin as well, because Tarkin seems like he's going to be front and center, at least from a couple of episodes, or maybe one episode at the very least.
Mm-hmm. So that's good. And then we've got Kevin Kiner doing music. I know we're both fans of him. We've talked about him a lot, but I mean, he can't be in better hands outside of John J. Williams, right?
Right. And I think with Bad Batch, you have he had a really cool, thing going for Rebels and things like that. But I think with Bad Batch, you have a completely different, landscape that you can explore and not be bound to what you're doing. Again, continue to try different, atmospheres and different types of feeling in the music and, different styles of music, which I think is all the more fun. And we've heard that in the trailers already. So I'm hoping that's his music in the trailer, and we'll get more of that as we go through the series.
Yeah. I'm excited about Kiner too, because he has a tendency to bring in music from his own series, right? Clone Wars stuff or Rebels, or he'll pull it in from the movies themselves, and which you would expect him to do. But the way he weaves it into that, right? There's almost something, there's sometimes there's things that he's alluding to through the music, much like Williams would do as well. So those are always really cool to kind of hear those little tidbits float in from all the other stuff that we've heard before.
Absolutely.
There's and then I guess the only question I have, right, if we're looking at the schedule and when Loki comes out, this puts it at about 6 episodes. So do you think we're going to get only 6, or do you think it's going to be 6? And then, because they've already said Loki's coming out on Friday, which is now a conflict with this if it goes beyond 6 episodes. Do you think there's more and it just moves to a different night, or I don't know what?
That's really hard to say, because they keep touting this as a series, but if it's a series, that's more than 6 episodes, right? That's typically at least 8 or 10. And in the vein of the Clone Wars, that's 22, 26 in a season.
Yeah.
So there's really, it's really interesting about how far this will go. I can't imagine this being a 20 something episode season, right? There's probably enough stories you could tell, but my guess is 8 to 10. But if it's 6, so be it. I don't want to get tired of the Bad Batch, I suppose. But I don't, really depends on what angle they want to go. And we're already seeing them kind of on the run, from the Empire and things like that. We'll go through some of that in the trailer, but some of these tangents that they're going on, what do they actually mean? And what are they going to tie this into? Because this presumably has got to tie into more than just Order 66, because if you're just on the run, you're on the run. But what is some of these other characters, and what are they doing? And why is this series so vital to tell?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we're trying to uncover here. Right. What is, why tell this? Yeah, exactly it. I mean, it almost feels like this doesn't have to be told. But now that we've seen some of the trailers, we've got Omega, which we'll get into here in a little bit. My feeling is somewhere around that there's going to be something locked in, and I think in terms of the number of episodes, like if they really took a true season approach, where they do like 6 episodes in the spring, right? We come back a few months later, there's 6 episodes in the summer, right? Much like they do over in the UK, where it truly is seasons, right? Seasonal in terms of releases of episodes. Here in the US, it's usually 2 seasons. We do one in the fall, one in the spring, and then we're out for the summer. But that would be kind of interesting too, to just see them do these small pockets of stories and have like this really long, like it'd be really great to understand, like if this story went more than just a couple of years, right? And we bleed into other eras and get to see from their perspective where they're at, right? And kind of living in their own life, doing their own thing. It'd be maybe worth watching more than just this particular time slot, right? This time
exactly. Era. Yeah, and he seems to agree with you. 6 episodes and then a pause or a break in the season. We come back in the fall. Something to bridge the gap before you get to Mandalorian or whatever else is coming in. So those types of things are always possible. And I think when you do something like that, I think that's a nice break. And even if you've got these episodes done, even releasing them late summer, early fall, gives us a little something depending on what the rest of the Star Wars slate looks like for Disney Plus.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Heath. I wasn't even watching it until Jonesy called it out. So thanks for doing that. Okay. And let's see. I think the only other, that's it. Unless you got anything else, we can jump right in the trailer. We've got a lot to talk about, believe it or not.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's try it again. Let me see. Let me do this. Professional here. I've never done this before. Okay, so now the trailer opens up with this looks like a Republic training arena facility or something, and then we get the line, "A test is in order. 5 enhanced clones, more capable than an army, yet they exhibit a concerning level of disobedience and disregard for orders." So I'm gonna just pause it real quick here. But this training area, now this is obviously still working for Tarkin, right? Still working for the Republic, or I guess at this point it would be the Empire, since I don't know. Yeah, I guess where is this timeline?
Yeah, I think this is the part that's a little confusing, because Tarkin looks, when you compare this with when he wants to go after the batch Clone Force 99, he looks the same. He's got the same credentials, everything else. So presumably this might not be a flashback, or there might be parts of it are, but and we're getting some merges in here anyway, because we've got Wrecker by himself here in just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've got the group here doing group things, and we've got Lama Su as well, and we haven't seen Lama Su really appear anywhere since
Anywhere, yeah.
since what was that, season 6 of the Clone Wars?
Clone Wars. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's interesting, yeah, and we got the guys just doing what they do best and just utter mayhem. And the other thing is, look at the stormtroopers. I mean, these are really reminiscent of what we had in Mandalorian, right? Or not stormtrooper, but the droids.
Yeah,
they look very much like the Death Troopers that we had in Mandalorian, which I thought was really interesting. Kind of that space trooper design back from the EU.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I hadn't considered that. Yeah, I don't know if they take that any further or they expand upon it or lay any hints down. But yeah, that is interesting that it does look like that. I think one of the things too, like, Tarkin's line about them being disobedient, like, we know they've already got an attitude. They're the bad batch, right? That whole thing. But the one thing that I don't think we really know, and hopefully, I mean, I really wish they would. I wish they expand upon this in this series. But whether or not they have their chips, right? Are they disobedient because their chips malfunction? Could they not put chips in these guys because of their altered, their enhanced abilities? Did the whatever the story is now, are they malfunctioning? Are they just there? I mean, they're there where they never put in, right? All these questions about, whether they have the chips or inhibitors or not need to come out. But, it's hard to tell when he says they're disobedience and disregard for orders coming from the fact that, like, he means that literally because they can't control them like they've controlled all the other clones, or is it just because they don't have the chip and they're just a bunch of, dudes with a whole bunch of really bad attitudes?
Right. So which one do you think it is? Do you think it's just not there, or it's not working the way it was designed and they had to refine it later? If you had to just put your money down on one, which one are you going to go with?
I'm going to say knowing Palpatine, and we'll talk about this later, I think, too, because I had a question in here, but knowing Palpatine, like, I don't think he would feel comfortable, honestly, having anything out there that didn't have the chip. You know what I mean? Like, that seems too risky for him, right? He's got this grand scheme, this grand plan, and the last thing he wants to do is have a chink in the armor at this level where, people can find out about it and stuff. I mean, that's essentially what happened with Rex and everybody else. I mean, people did get their chips removed and they became self-aware, but he was really quick to try to shut that down with Echo, right?
Right.
So I would expect them to have the chips and just be malfunctioning in some way, or the fact that they've been altered and they're super genetic beings of some sort. The chip wasn't designed for that, right? Metaphysically, just not able to control this particular DNA set because they've been altered, right? Some kind of weird Star Wars science behind that. But I can't see Tarkin consciously or not Tarkin. Well, I can't see Tarkin really too, but I can't see Palpatine consciously being like, that's okay. You've got these 6 extraordinary beings out there that could wreak havoc. They're basically an army, and we have no way to control them. Yeah, sure, no problem. I don't see that happening.
I'm with you there too. I think they're probably there. There's just some differentiated state that's not working properly, or they hadn't perfected it yet. And so, like you said, you were kind of going the same path I was thinking too. They, with whatever mutations or whatever enhancements that were done, they have somehow corrupted the chip or fried it or something like that.
Yep. All right. So so this is all good. Let's move on here. Those look like the little droids from WALL-E. And I'm going to keep pausing this stuff every once in a while, because if I don't, then it gets flagged by the algorithms for, YouTube. So that's, I'm going to apologize in advance for some of the pauses that I'm doing. They are intentional. Some pretty cool shots here. I mean, I like the graphics too, right? I mean, this looks like the same graphics engine they used for season 7 of the Clone Wars. Yeah. Really sharp. Still feels Clone War-ish, but very clean now. A lot more polygons than they were using before.
Yeah, I think it's that smooth textures too. I mean, just the smooth motion you have. It just looks really good. And I think with the clones, you can really, they translate really well to this new technology, or that they started using. So I don't think you see as much variability as you do with some of the human faces the faces you can actually see. I think Tarkin, very different. I mean, you get creases. You can see a lot more definition in his forehead than I remember in the other episode. They even did his little moles there that he needs to get that checked out.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't look good there, man. Put some sunscreen on there, dude.
All right.
The textures look really great. All right, streaming May 4th. Assuming this is Camino, right?
Yep, sure looks like it.
Sure looks a heck a lot like it. And we get Hunter saying our squad's nothing but trouble. And he's looking at somebody when he says that. It's unclear to me. I mean, it could be Omega that he's talking to. It could be just another clone. But I mean, as far as what we've seen so far in this trailer, I think the safe bet is Omega.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's as good a guess as anything else, because yeah, we have no idea. But they're all walking away too. You can Crosshair and Tech kind of strolling by. So it's interesting that they're become again. If they're on Camino though, then this is going back to maybe the mess hall thing that we've got coming up here, or they're coming back off of something. So I can't tell if he's looking down though, because if it was the kid, then he'd be looking down.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, my theory here, if it is a kid, because it sounds like the kid really wants to join them, wants to go with them, right? And so then his line to them is, "We're nothing but trouble," kind of thing. But to your point, I don't think, unless that kid's really far away, it doesn't look like he's looking straight down at the kid.
Right.
Next scene, we've got Hunter, what looks to be stealing some kind of a swoop vehicle.
Yeah, Rambo look going on here.
Oh, he's got the full Rambo look. I mean, he's got the green shirt, red headband. I can't pause this where you get a really clean shot of it. Maybe it's a little bit later that you get it. But yeah, I mean, he definitely looks like John Rambo heading out.
Yep. Yeah, stealing a speeder, and this is where we get some of these chase type of sequences going back and forth here a little bit, and they jump in and out of him. And yeah, he's got a pretty intense look on his face here too when they cut to head on with him. And so I think we've speculated already that this is a scene. Maybe he's chasing after Omega. We know we've got Fennec Shan coming in. If she's doing the bounty hunter thing already, this is a good 30 years before Mandalorian. So she's just a young bounty hunter. So maybe this is one of her first jobs, and Hunter's going after the kid.
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of where my head's at, because later on there's a shot where Omega is in the lap of Hunter. And it looks like to be the same city, same cityscape. So as part of that chase, he, either they're racing to get to Omega, or he takes Omega from Fennec Shan. And that's, I'm with you there. I think she's been sent out to capture Omega after Omega leaves with them, wherever they go.
Right. And this looks like, does this look like Coruscant? Now, the more I look at it,
no,
it's hard to tell,
it's not. There was another planet that had like it might have been in season 7.
I think Raxus is supposed to be back on the table, so I wonder if this is Raxus.
Yeah, it's not Coruscant. I thought it was too at first, but if you look at the structure, I mean, it could be, but they've never shown structures like this, architecture like this. You know what I mean?
It just doesn't seem grand enough. They're doing at the top levels. Like, we've never seen the top levels of Coruscant for the most part.
There is another planet, and I can't think of the name of it, that's got like this like hustle and bustle kind of streets that they've shown before. But I mean, it could be. I mean, it's a pretty big galaxy, right? And yeah, there it is, right there. I mean, come on, that's John Rambo. Make no mistake about it.
Oh, here we go, some B1s. Yeah, here we go, some B1s. Yeah,
so they're fighting the B1s. So that means the Separatists are still around doing stuff.
Yeah, and again, we don't know where exactly this starts, right? Is this starting right before Order 66, or is it right after? So, and the other thing part that makes it confusing is that battle droids, even though when Anakin shut them down, not all of them shut down right away. Some of them were disconnected, some of them were didn't receive it. And I think there was even some other wild theory where they actually rejected the order or something crazy like that, which I don't know if I buy that one, but again, we don't really know where this is sitting. Is it just cleanup duty, or are we just getting some ramp up before we get to Order 66? My money is on that. Is that we're going to have them closing out the war, and then we're going to see this transition over, post Order 66. I'm thinking we're going to see some aspect of it again in order to see how did they get the order? How did they interpret the order? Did they just ignore it? Did any of the? I mean, because spoiler, Crosshair is missing from parts of this trailer. And when you're seeing the guys, there's only 4 of them instead of all 5 of them in parts of this trailer, especially as you get towards the end.
Yeah.
So there might be something in there that's that's kind of gone on, and that's why I'm wondering if we'll see what we see in this Order 66 type of event.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad you pointed. I didn't even catch that, honestly, until I saw that you threw it in the show notes. Which now my head's kind of spinning on that part, but. They're in my head, this is kind of like the opening piece sequence of it, right? They're, like you said, it's cleanup. There's still skirmishes going on. These guys are just on pure cleanup duty at this point. And once this is over, that we get to that scene of we're nothing but trouble kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, because they do look to be working alongside the clone troopers right here, right? So
yeah, and this is still phase. What is it? Phase 2.
Phase 2 helmets.
Yeah, so Revenge of the Sith era. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then Hunter finishes that sentence of, our squad's nothing but trouble, but we get the job done. So, okay. They're just establishing who they are, right?
Kind of a weird connected piece there, but all right.
Yeah, right. Okay, then we get all right, let's talk about Omega.
Yeah.
So a couple things. Omega is the name. This only came up because if you turn the subtitles on, the name is never said in the trailer, right? They just say kid. But when you turn the subtitles on, it says Omega. And in the German translation, they always have to, give the gender as, for some of the foreign languages. And so there it was listed as a female.
Yeah.
When I first saw this is not, I did not think it was a female. Maybe I should have thought so because of the, the jewelry and the little circlet thing or whatever she's wearing, but not that it matters. I just, I am curious because I think it does matter because I think it matters about when we get into like the origins, right? And who Omega is. So let's just pull that Band-Aid off. Give me your craziest, give me some of the theories. I mean, there's a lot of stuff floating out on Reddit right now and in our own little social media forums and circles, but what do you think Omega is? And the name probably says something of he or she is, but what are your thoughts?
Well, it's curious. So the headpiece is the same one as Nala Se, right? So the head cloner, and I'm trying to remember if any of the other Kaminoans have that same headpiece or that same jewelry that rests on their head, but we've seen it up close with Nala Se, and we know that she's very interested in the clones and she treats them while they're, she's willing to put them down, like what was going on towards the end of the series, the Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if she has been messing with the genetic code and this is maybe her child. So I'm kind of going on a limb here and saying it's Nala Se's actual, clone, but really modified Jango Fett clone. And now it's also female. And to your point, I think I'd read somewhere that the French audio, the dub over was also done by a female voiceover artist. So I don't know if that means anything because we have females do younger boys all the time.
Oh yeah.
So that's not necessarily a surprise, but yeah, when I heard that and saw that, I was like, okay, well, the style of the hair and things like that start to make sense that appears to be more feminine than masculine, if you want to apply those terms to it.
Yeah, but you can see the back of the hair there.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw some people saying, well, it looks like Palpatine's hair as well.
Yeah.
But that seems like okay, so let's just talk about these, right? So I'm with you. Like the most Omega, right? Omega being the final, the end, right?
End,
Alpha and Omega. So this is the final clone, right? That's kind of where my head's at. I'm with you because of the little jewels. She looks like she's winking there. Because of the jewel. Yeah.
Lazy eye.
Right. Like this was also was like like last Swan Song, right? Let me just do one real quick. Let's see if we can crank out a female since we've all, big sausage factor here.
Right.
And this was the result of it because she does have, and I'm going to use the feminine here. She does have the accent, right? The Australian accent, the D. Bradley Baker sounding accent.
Well, New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's not Australian. Close enough. We're American. What do we know? But yeah, that seems like where I'm leaning. I don't necessarily like the Palpatine clone thing. I mean, it's like, come on, really? I mean, we already got that storyline. It just seems kind of far-fetched. And we didn't even get that storyline really technically in the movie either, right? They'd be digging at a reference that came when the novel came out, like months after the stinking movie came out. So it didn't seem like that would be the way to go. She could be an enhanced clone as well. Any thoughts around that? If she is,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that they've tweaked the code, and for some reason, and it could be sourced from Palpatine though, of trying to say, okay, we've got this template that worked pretty well. What do we do to take it to the next level, and what makes us start to maybe this is also the beginning of the shutdown of the clone project and that type of transition as well, something with this character, but. Yeah, I mean, Palpatine's fingers might be in it, but I'm also, we got a sense where the cloners were starting to kind of go off on their own, a bit of their own tangent because they just know better than the rest of the galaxy. They know better than everybody else, and their work is their work. It's not the Republic's work. They own the work. Yeah. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they were just, is that her child of sorts, which would be very strange because they're not very caring people, but she looks nothing like these clones at that age.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, she's got like
blonde hair. Yeah,
I mean,
she does have the brown eyes, right? I think clones typically do, but definitely not going through the training, not wearing the garb that we're used to. So and that I don't know what style that is from a.
I mean, fashion change. I mean, this was,
Yeah. Oh boy, here we go.
Fashion
Cantina Cast fashion show again. We haven't been down this road in a while, I guess.
It's been a while, yeah. Well, so okay, so enhance or not? I'm gonna go with enhance. I think that's kind of, but see, then I start
But we don't know
about
what.
this.
But we don't know what yet.
No, but then but like I said, it's starting to feel like the Mandalorian, right? They got a kid, oh, he's force enhanced. Oh, he's genetically altered, or she's genetically enhanced. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I wouldn't mind it if it was just something new and different. I'm fine with the storyline, but it doesn't have to go there. I think the fact that, one, she's a female, two, she's unique, and she sees herself as unique, and she sees them. I mean, she looks enamored by them when she's like, whoa, Clone Force 99. So, I mean, I think she's like identifying with other people that are very unique in a world full of people that are all the same, right? So I think there's a connection there. So that's probably enough for her. But then I guess the only final question is, did they put a chip in her? And I'm going to say no, much like these guys either don't have chips or not controlled by chips for whatever technical reason there is. I don't think Nala Se would put a chip if this was her girl, right? And she wanted to make her in her own model or in her own mind or whatever. I can't see her putting a chip in there because this is like hers, right? Why should the Emperor have this? This is not what he ordered. I just did my own little side experiment kind of thing.
Right. And it's interesting that she idolizes them because really the rest of the clones, they're outsiders, right? They have some respect after what the events that we got with Echo in the Bad Batch episodes, but even still, the clones had a very contentious relationship with them. They were different. They were outsiders. They didn't play by the rules. They didn't feel like they were respected. What was the term that they called for
regs.
The regs? That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just the randos. So yeah, they didn't have really much respect there. So I don't know if that's changed a lot or if this is really just, again, a unique case and she's just studying what the other ones have come before. And I don't know. Yeah, it's really interesting. And we have a lot of kids in Star Wars lately, all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, and that, again, this is probably, I shouldn't say again because I haven't said it, but this is the way they're probably hooking, younger kids, right? I mean, it's coming out Disney Plus. I would imagine still, even now, there are probably a lot of people that are just coming into Star Wars who did not see season 7 because it was like, okay, cool, but I've never seen the first 6 seasons, and then they go look at how many episodes and like forget it. Like I know a lot of people that were like they tapped out. There's no way. It's overwhelming. There's too many seasons. I don't know who these characters are. I don't want to invest in it. I'll skip season 7 of the Clone Wars, even though we ate that stuff up. Now this is an opportunity for them to come in and pick up a whole new storyline. They probably have a good sitting in terms of where they are in the time frame, and they know that it's after Order 66. They can latch on. This is a new group. They've got a kid now. That's the entry point for younger audiences.
Right.
So that would be maybe a logical reason why they picked a child. But hopefully there's more there than just that. Right. I hope there's a little bit more story there. And this is where she says, Hunter says, who we are, and then she starts naming them off. Right, like Hunter.
Their little cameos for each one.
Mm-hmm. And his cameo. I mean, they're definitely. I mean, he shoots this stormtrooper. I don't know if I should call him that or not because they're really clone troopers still, but he shoots him like in his hand. Like you see that?
Yeah.
Right in his hand, right in the blaster. And then he shoots this guy in the arm.
That's a kill shot in Star Wars though.
Yeah, it is. But I'm almost thinking though, like it doesn't seem like unless they're censoring this for the audiences, it almost feels like he's intentionally not killing them. Like there's still something, he still feels that bond with them, knowing that they are, his brothers, although they're on a totally different side. But, he's not, it doesn't look like he's intentionally trying to kill these guys.
Right.
So, well, it may not be much of anything. Let's see.
That's a wild pause you've got for Echo there.
What did he see just now? He says hyperdrive's active. I like his little arm thing too.
All right.
It reminds me of R2's little
the little
whatever. Mm-hmm. That thing. And then there's a shot later on we'll get to when we'll talk about Lobot. I posted that on social media today because I just happened to pause it right there. And I was like, whoa, that is almost exactly like the footage from Empire Strikes Back with Lobot. The what do you call it? Promotional.
What's it called? The AJ6 or JV6, whatever it's called. The
JVC. No, yeah, I think I know what you mean, but yeah, I don't remember the name of that. Yeah, this is him saying, and then this is him again. So we cut over. I mean, it looks like this is all one shot, but these are two different shots. He's startled by something here, and that's the detonator that Hunter has in his hand. It's just kind of out of focus right now. a little bit later. And then this is where he plugs in, which is cool. That's the R2, whole R2 thing. It even looks like the plans right there, too, on the back. You can see the plans,
Right.
like when R2 took them off the Death Star, which downloaded them from the Death Star in episode 4.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, it says hyperdrive's active. And then we cut over to Tech, or Tick, as the New Zealanders like to call him. Tick. It's actually Tech. He's repairing something. Nothing big there, right? It's typical. We'd expect that from him.
Right.
He says preparing for jump. And then I had this thought, like, you got a cyborg here, and then you've got a tech head here. And if you look at the shots, a lot of the scenes in this trailer, they're together. And I thought that's a really cool idea. Like, I would love to see, Tech going in and like making last minute on the fly modifications to Echo to make him do other things that they need him to be able to do, and just having that relationship, and when he gets down, Tech is the one that is going in and repairing him and all that. But that is a really cool dynamic, at least in my head. I think it'd be awesome if that was how the relationship was.
Yeah, and figuring out upgrades and whatever else they can do to continue to push him forward. Echo looks so sickly still, though. It's just so pale and I mean, pretty much dead, to be honest with you. I mean, seriously, even his eyes are much lighter than what they usually should be.
Yeah, I mean, God, I feel sorry for him too. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, he's had some work done.
Yeah, he's had a lot of work done. And then of course we got Wrecker, who's always a lot of fun. Let's blow something up, and I wonder if we're going to get back to the the contest they had about how many they killed and all that, and then they ended with was it Crosshair? Who was it that he was in competition with?
I think it was Crosshair. Yeah,
I think it was too. But yeah, I think it was Crosshair won that last battle because he blew up wasn't it Wrecker? I forget now who won, but someone blew something up and killed all those.
It was Crosshair. I think, he was throwing detonators on the walls, right? And he didn't want to count all of it. He was like, "That's just one," I think.
Yeah. But it would be cool if they came back to that, though.
I like how Tech has got the major receding hairline, though. I just had to throw that in there because it's just so funny.
Right, yeah. Genetics are weird. He's got the Grand Moff Tarkin receding hairline.
He really does, man. It's not even a widow's peak.
Nope, not at all. Let's see. Yeah, of course, it says your move. He's shooting stuff or whatever. I was kind of skipped over Wrecker here. Here's the mess hall scene that you were talking about.
Yeah, and they've got the regs there in the background. So I mean, this is still clearly they're all on the same side.
Mm-hmm. He's detonating something here. I mean, you can see he's detonating. Looks like the engines of a
some sort of ship. Actually, it looks like a Venator class.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does look like the engines look like a Venator.
Now, I'm wondering if this is the same ships that we see when we get Rex in a little bit later.
Maybe. This is this is a weird cut. Like, it looks like he presses the button, you see the explosion here, and then this thing fires off. But that looks more like an engine firing up, and this guy is caught in the blast. That looks like Crosshair too.
That's Crosshair, yeah.
Getting caught in the crosshairs. But I mean, that seems like that would really hurt him. And so I started thinking, okay, well, maybe he's not, a traitor or, loyal to the Empire and leaves the group. Unless that's later on, like they'd have to establish that. Maybe they don't, but it just feels like they would have to. But I mean, if you're taking a blast from like a Star Destroyer level kind of engine like this close, that doesn't seem like he's gonna survive that.
Vaporized, yeah.
Yeah, or if he is, there's not gonna be, he's gonna be down and out for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's where his absence is explained. So interesting. And then we got did we skip over the electro knife firing out of crosshairs?
No, not yet, because we haven't got to crosshair. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so I don't know. He's doing shooty stuff, pew stuff. And this was the interesting thing here. Like, he was able to launch this electric knife, this vibro knife thing into that droid. So what weapon is that?
It's pretty wild. I don't know. It's some sort of knife.
What it looks like, I wonder if it's Hunter's knife, though.
Actually, yeah, it does look like Hunter's knife, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of got that interesting blade, yeah. But why is it so energized? Strange.
Don't know. This definitely is early on, right? This isn't that whole, proving themselves or whatever in the training area.
Yeah, training ground, right?
Cool. Yeah, hopefully we'll see that in the show as well.
So again, right there, only 4 of them, not the 5.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this forest setting in the background comes up a few times, and it does not look. This does look like it's a little bit later, only because I mean, he's got his different headgear. You can see it there.
Mhm.
Dang it, what's the name of that thing? Now it's killing me. The name of that there. But okay, so we'll go into the next scene here. Looks like they're so originally I thought this was kind of like a larger ship of some sort, but you can see the horizon in the background. So
Mhm.
this looks to be some kind of a base, very early Imperial base. And is it safe to just go ahead and call these guys Imperials at this point? I mean, if this is after Order 66, I mean, it is the Empire at this point, right?
Right, and this actually might be Camino, to be honest with you.
Mm,
Yeah,
I
'cause
like that.
it looks like it's stormy back there. We know that he's, potentially, if they're doing training grounds, it makes a lot of sense for this all to be Camino.
Yeah, it is definitely raining. You can see the rain falling. I mean, I
Mhm.
know anybody, if you're watching the live stream, you probably can't see the fine details here. But yeah, it definitely looks like it is raining. That's a good call. Maybe that isn't landscape and just waves. I don't know. But yeah, definitely getting vibes of like,
Yeah.
Imperial Star Destroyers, Imperial bases. The aesthetic is there now. That's kind of coming to a final. Even like the clone troopers themselves are really the way they walk and stand. It's all very stormtrooper ish.
Absolutely.
More than we've had like in the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, and what's really curious is that Tarkin's got the Imperial Guard. He's got the shock troopers with him. The only other time we've really seen, I guess we saw them in some other Clone Wars, but really Palpatine's the only one that we've seen them in a lot of material with.
Mm-hmm.
And again, his uniform here
His
looks,
rank.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think that's the admiral rank.
I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody look that up and tell us if that's right.
Yeah, Dante's in the crowd, so Dante
Yeah,
tell
we
us
got a
what's
lot of
going
you
on.
guys in there. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Yeah.
There's Thyre. He's on the right side of Tarkin.
Yep. Sure looks like
I
it.
didn't even. Yeah, I didn't recognize the
Yeah, with
little
the
shoulder
pauldron.
thing there. Yep. Nice
You
call,
recognize
Isaac.
him.
Yeah.
You didn't recognize him because of his red armor.
You might not recognize me because of my right shoulder pad.
Right.
That's a deep cut. Okay. This is where Tarkin says, "I want Clone Force 99 found and wiped out." So again, at this point, pretty safe to say they've gone off the grid, right? They've gone rogue. They've left.
Right.
It kind of lines up with our theory of them getting off Camino. There's a little scene a little bit later that we'll come to where it looks like they're kind of sneaking out in wetsuits, right? So I'm kind of linking all this together. But he definitely wants them down. So they're loose cannons. They can't be controlled. Like I said, if I'm Palpatine or I'm Tarkin, yeah, this is a big problem for me. Like I need to get these guys under control right away.
Right. And that's why I'm wondering if this is happening around, so we'll actually see Order 66 takes place for these guys. And to your point about I didn't really see them as wetsuits. I guess we'll get to it here in a minute, but so I'll reserve that here.
Okay.
But,
this is like the armor or the helmet does look more from the side profile.
yeah,
It looks more of a stormtrooper eyes design.
yeah, but it's still very much the Clone Wars era because you've still got the stripe in the middle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the T visor. Here we go with Fennec Shan.
Yeah, Fennec Shan. Okay, so Fennec Shan says the galaxy's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah,
and she finishes that a little bit later. I thought, no, maybe not. I think that's her only quote there. So, all right. So Fennec Shan, for anybody that's joined us now, what's your theory on her and what's going on? I know we talked about it a little bit, but feel free to rehash that.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is she's a young bounty hunter for hire in this age, right? Because again, we're roughly 30 years before. Is it 30 is right? I'm not misquoting that.
I didn't do the math, but yeah, sure. It's
somewhere in ballparkish, right? So, yeah. So it seems like, probably one of her first gigs, maybe of going after the boy or the girl or Omega. We'll just call it Omega, and returning their property. And so that's gonna be my guess is that she's contracted out either by the Kaminoans or by Tarkin and the Empire.
Yeah, her line is interesting though about it being the galaxy's dangerous place to be. I mean, that kind of speaks to the shifting of power
right
throughout the galaxy. And I don't remember where we talked about this. We've probably talked about it ad nauseum, and certainly it's come up to the natural course of conversation around other similar topics. But there is a big shift of power now, right? And the whole galaxy is completely unsettled. It's unrest. There's unrest now. People are trying to find their way through it. It's not safe for anyone anymore because there really is nobody protecting you. It's kind of every man for themselves, every woman for themselves, every being for themselves. And you've got the dark cloud looming over your shoulders at all times of this mighty empire now that Palpatine has. So
Right.
In every aspect, right? It's definitely not a safe, dangerous place to be. I'm just curious as to who she's talking to, right? Is she talking to the clones? Is she talking to somebody like Omega?
I can't imagine her talking to a clone like that, especially these guys.
Yeah.
So but again, her pistols aim pretty high, not real low.
Right.
But again, if there's, if Hunter's with the kid, then that would make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be anybody really who she's talking to. And I think I'm curious to see for Fennec Shan, is she going to be like the anti-hero in this, or is she going to be the bad guy that, is really just truly a bad person in this series? And then, if we get what we get in The Mandalorian, and there's obviously a lot of time that happens in between there, but that's a story in itself that could be told somewhere later, how she transitions over into that kind of a role.
Yeah, I mean, she's an assassin, right? That's what they said she was when we first met her. So I'd very much like to see her earning that title.
Yeah, right. Especially when she ends season 2, Book of Boba, she's kind of taking this,
swig of pirate juice and everything, man.
On right hand side of Boba Fett, right? So yeah, quite a story arc that's going to be told here. Okay, we get this looks like, is it Tech? That looks like Tech there on the left, and I guess that's Echo.
Yeah.
Can't tell, but yeah, they're fighting this kind of winged creature here that kind of flies in. So who knows? I mean, could be just a creature. No big deal, right?
Right.
Yeah, this was the scene here that I took the screenshot of and compared it. You can see. Anybody get a name on that? Come on, guys, you're falling down the job here. We didn't do our job, so you've got to pick up the slack.
That's right.
But yeah, he's got very much the Lobot kind of thing going on. You can see Hunter here, his makeup.
Got the war paint. Yeah.
War paint. It's kind of like a skeleton. Reminds me of the Karate Kid, right?
Right.
The costumes they wore in that movie. Okay, here's the scene. It looks like they're sneaking around, right? There's Hunter, Omega, everybody's here except for Crosshair.
So these look like the body glove suits, though, is what I thought. Just this is the stuff that they wear underneath, because we've seen them before with the Imperial markers on the shoulder. I think we've seen some that maybe more on the chest. So just evolution of it all. But I just assumed these were the body gloves that they wear under their armor.
Yeah.
I like your idea of a wetsuit, though. I mean, we haven't seen a Star Wars wetsuit as far as I'm aware. So again, let's continue with the new fashion line.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, they're on Camino, right? And so they got to get off the planet. They have to get off the planet somewhere. So the only way to go.
Are you going to jump into that mess down there, though?
I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe there's somebody waiting for them. Maybe that's where Crosshair is at. He's waiting for them in some submersive vehicle they got to jump into. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. It could just be the Under Armour.
Right. It would make sense if if they were not expecting to have to defend themselves, now they've lost their armor and whatnot. Because again, we do see them without their armor in several scenes here throughout this trailer.
Mm-hmm. Man, SP's on a roll tonight. They're so this is them talking to Omega, and this is where we get the line, "What do you say, kid? Do you want to come with us?"
Right. And again, no Crosshair.
No Crosshair. But I mean, there's a story to be told with the kid herself. On top of that, why would they want to take this on? Right? She can't be a burden to them. I don't see them doing it maybe just strictly out of the kindness of their heart. And why would she want to leave? Like, there's all these questions that need to be answered. But you got to wonder, like, if they're going to allow her to join them and they are who they are, she's got to bring something to the table. She's got to be worth something to them, right? Which could be the same thing, why she's worth something to Fennec Shan, who's been, employed by the Empire, by Tarkin, by Palpatine himself, right? Somebody's looking for her. So it feels like, and I hate to say it, it does feel very like Mandalorian and Grogu, but it seems like she is very pivotal for some reason, right?
Right. And it could be that, they're asking her if she wants to stick with them. But again, there seems like there's going to be something special that they're going to feel maybe, responsible in order to take care of her, to have to keep them with her. But again, there's got to be something important about her as well, and wanting to protect that. And that's a little bit different scene there, because that's a Tech right there.
Yeah.
She's talking to, looking up to. Yeah. So again, very different scene.
Yeah. I thought he was pulling out a blaster. It doesn't look like he is pulling out something. Right. Looks like some kind of a device to give her or use on her or something. But yeah, that's what she says. How can I help? Is what she says.
Right.
So she definitely wants to be a part of the group, right? In some way. Oh, she's also not wearing that little crown jewel thing here.
Yeah, the headpiece has definitely
Mhm.
disappeared in some of these scenes later on, and once they get off of Camino, it looks like.
Yeah, which probably not practical to be run around.
Yeah,
with that thing on. That's their ship. That was established in the last season, or season 7.
Forgot the name of it though.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it either. Being chased by these tiny little fighters. And then you got Hunter who takes a blast. Assuming this is all kind of the same shot, but he definitely squeezes off a few rounds here and takes out 2 of the ships, I think, right there.
Right.
All right, and here we go. We get Rex now. Now, this is the one that's very interesting.
See, and that shot right there looks like what they were firing up the engines on.
Yes. Same angle. The ship looks like it's at the same angle.
Yeah.
But so how or why do they meet up with Rex? This feels like it's a little bit later down the road, not necessarily in that first, although it's 70 minutes for the first episode. So who knows? Maybe it is.
Yeah, this is a really good question because, again, I mean, presumably this is after Order 66. I don't know why. I'm curious if Rex would be, frequently wearing his armor, but then again, maybe it's also a survival type of thing too. But yeah, it's very curious. So this is one of those things of, are they looking for a hideout? Are they just looking for supplies? Are they, how did they get in touch with Rex in the first place and be able to somehow track him down? Because presumably he's off the grid at this point. So it's interesting that they went and found him. But we also know that they have a relationship though. So it's not out of the question that they would do this and come together as long as they had some idea that Rex wasn't also affected like everyone else was.
Yeah. I mean, the headcanon says they're looking for something. I mean, why would they go into this abandoned ship? Is this the ship that went down in the final episode? And so they had to get a hold of it. And what are they looking for here? But to your point, like I get Rex is in this. He's in his costume, right? His armor. But I mean, if he's on the run, that's the last thing you would think he would be wearing. He'd be incognito in some way,
right? Unless you think you're going to encounter trouble, that would make a lot of sense for him to get all geared up too.
Yeah, maybe. There's you can see also Omega has that electric bow that she's going to use here in just a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Right here. Yeah.
Very. Yeah. I've heard some comparisons to Night Sisters, but that does not appear to be the same type of. I mean, it's very mechanical.
Yeah, it looks like she is shooting him in the wrist. So maybe they're just taking this whole, I don't know. They're not killing anybody in this show. That's fine.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't say that. It doesn't seem Night Sister to. I mean, they do have them, but that does not look like a Night Sister bow.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, it folds away, right? It'd be cool if this was something that like Tech constructed on his own or something,
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's just so mechanical. It seems way more functional than the more natural things or the conjugate. Not conjugal, that whatever the created type of weapon that the Night Sisters might do that. Yeah, and constructed and more natural, based. We would expect them to pull more from their resources rather than from technology.
Yep. There's so we get Saw Gerrera's voice coming in now right at this point, saying the Clone Wars have ended. We'll see him in like 2 seconds here, but there is this is not Theed. I was trying to look at those statues.
I can't tell what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember what that is. It doesn't look familiar, but definitely looks like they're coming in. I mean, you have all these citizens that are kind of just like cowering in fear because the walkers have come up, and then you see here we've got Tech and Echo that have commandeered one of them. If this is all the same shot, and he shoots one there on the side. So, I don't know what kind of liberation. Maybe this is part of Saw Gerrera's plans. And once they meet up with him, they help, he enlists them and they're helping him out with this mission here because we get the look of him here. We'll get a closer look up in just a few minutes, but he's hand Hunter a weapon and says you can either adapt and survive or die with the past.
Is that Hunter's gun?
I don't know.
Can't tell. Yeah.
I don't know. That seems a little small for Hunter to use, but who knows?
Yeah, because he has the pistols like Rex does, right?
Yep. Yeah, at least as far as I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be really. I'm. The partisans would be good to see some of that stuff. We'll talk a little bit in just a few minutes here about speculation around like cameos. Jyn Erso, depending on the timeline, maybe she pops up. I think that's kind of far fetched. I don't think they have to go there. Although it would be interesting to see Omega and Jyn together. But as far as I remember from Catalyst, I think he was a lot older. Not a lot older, but he's definitely older than the way he looks here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go with these guys are the partisans here. Interesting that they have face masks on too.
Yeah, again,
COVID.
still air, still COVID. Yeah.
COVID going on right there.
Even a galaxy far, far away. But yeah, still early stages of them getting their total everything cemented into what their rebellion is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Here's Fennec Shan. So this is a very confusing shot. So here's the shot we talked about. You can clearly see Omega. Right? She's in the lap of Hunter. This is the same bike he was on earlier when he stole it from somebody. Same clothing. So he's gotten her back somehow, or picked her up, or rescued her. And it feels like Fennec's after them as well. Although it feels like they're chasing Fennec because he throws this little sticky bomb thing. You can see it flying there. It lands. You can see it there. Right. She takes a shot, and then we get an explosion. But that's not their ship exploding. That's actually hers exploding. You can see her right there.
Yep.
That is her jumping off of a ship or her ship. Let me see. Is that the same one there?
Tough to really tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
But for sake of argument, we'll call it the same one. It seems reasonable.
Yeah. SP Albert, is this how you normally watch trailers on your own? Yes. Yeah. That's no lie.
It takes 2 hours to do 2 minutes. Yes.
It does. I mean, we're on 51 minutes, guys, and we haven't for a 2-minute trailer. It's not even 2 minutes. It's like just under that. But yeah, this is all the same scene. So she's jumping from ship to ship. She obviously lives. We can see her land on the taxi right there. Mm-hmm. And then here's that close up of Saul. So he's looking more like we see him in Rebels. Ish, right? He's a little bit not as old as we see him in
Rogue One,
but he's got similar look. His eyes, we already talked about that in another episode. His eyes change color. Who cares? Don't worry about that.
But again, Rogue One is 20 years from now too, so it's it's still a ways away for him to age.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in just a little bit too, because I think he is going to. I think he'll play obviously in the first season, but whether or not he plays heavily in the first season, I think will be determined. And I think this is just a continuation of that whole right. She jumped off the ship, she landed on the taxi or whatever, and then the rest of that debris comes flying over her head and blows up. And she's got this cool little superhero moment here, explosion in the background.
Yeah, she does not look pleased.
Nope. Yeah, I mean, she lost her prize, so she's got to go explain that. We talked about with them with Saul. He says the decision is yours. That's what Saul says to them. Right. And this is earlier, right here. He says the decision is yours. What decision is that?
I don't know. I guess he's talking about adapting, right? They've got to change what they're going to do, and they've got to accept the realities of, how things are now. And again, it's curious. Is he recruiting for the cause? And
I think he is.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for him too, right? And handing the gun back, showing trust, and saying, this is just beginning with the Empire, and things are going to get worse and nastier. So we need to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I was him, I certainly. And suddenly, you've got the Clone Force 99. Maybe the reputation's already been out there, whether it is or not. I mean, yeah, I don't want to enlist them. Exactly.
Yeah, powerful ally, yeah.
So the level of convincing and what he proposes, though, is what I'm really interested to hear.
Exactly.
Like, what is he offering them, outside of just taking down the Empire that's chasing them, which should be enough. But then we get this, I don't know, there's just kind of a montage of little things here. He says, we do what we have to do.
Right.
So Wrecker comes in screaming, lands on a couple of droids.
Doing what he does.
Yeah, doing what he does.
Yeah, so here we go. So this looks like a Zygerian.
Yeah.
The slave trade with the cool little light whip thing going on there.
Yeah, not to be confused with the whip we just talked about in Republic.
Very different. Yeah, this is one of those, like a traditional whip.
Yeah. Let's see. Then we got the Bad Batch heading into this planet that's got water. So there's earlier, I think I skipped over, but there was the forest planet. They definitely showed that. So not sure which one this is. That's them coming in, and this is where Hunter says, "Strap in, kid."
Right. Yep. Again, no crosshair.
No crosshair. Yep. And then Tech hits the lever. And then they fly into hyperspace, and you can see this is obviously when she first gets onto the ship because she's still wearing that little medallion thing, the circlet.
Right.
And then she's got this look of, wow, we're going into space kind of thing going on. That's it. Boom.
That's the trailer.
All right, we're gonna go through the whole thing one more time. No,
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna go from backwards to forwards now.
Right. Yeah, in reverse.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Faster, more intense.
Yeah. All right, so let's we'll end the show with the I guess our final thoughts, questions. If you guys have questions, you're more than welcome to throw them up there. If you've got the things that you're wondering about, if we've got enough time here, we'll maybe chime in on some of our own speculation. But so we've talked about Omega escaping from Camino with the Bad Batch, and Fennec maybe possibly being hired by the Empire to go retrieve Omega. Still think that's a pretty viable explanation here?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very much, and again, hunting down the Bad Batch in general, I think is still going to be one of those things that's just as important as anything else, because, this force can really wreak havoc, and they can create some major problems for the Empire. And again, they were bred for the entire purpose of taking on an entire army with just really just the four of them at the time.
Yeah.
So it's so this is the thing where you've got to figure it's a twofer at this point. But I have a feeling they're going to want the kid back intact, because that's a thing that they seem to always want. Like, I need the kid for, like Grogu, right? Or Baby Yoda, however you want to go after that one. But we want to go back so we can do tests, or we can figure something else out. We can learn something different. So I think those are the aspects of it. But clearly, Bad Batch on the run, though, at the very least, and they're going to have a good go of it. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. What if Nala Say is just hired Fennec Shan to retrieve her kid, and there's two different storylines, right? I mean, they're running from Tarkin because Tarkin wants him dead, and they're running from, her and the Kaminoans.
Kaminoans, yeah.
Sure. Something. The people that dwell on Camino.
Right. Yeah, that dwell above the surface here. Yeah, I think that's a good point. We know that the cloners will pay handsomely to get their property back, and I can definitely see what that is. And again, I can't imagine Tarkin is too pleased if that type of thing has gone on. So how much does Tarkin really know what's happening? Or is he just
that's a good point. Yeah.
He's just focused on Bad Batch or Clone Force 99, and he doesn't really know about this other kid. And the kid was just moving around freely, though, the facility we saw them in. So it's not like it's a secret, but is it not necessarily a broadly known secret by the Empire's leadership, I guess.
Right. That's a good question. Like I said, I don't think he was. I mean, there's probably he probably does not even know much about, because they were all kind of hush hush. They did special ops stuff for them, all under the table. But I mean, it's like you said, likely that this is all undercover stuff, right? Because I think if he had known, he would have put a stop to it. And certainly, I cannot see somebody like Palpatine having like loose ends like this, or wild cards out there in the field.
Well, and again, we could go down that rabbit hole with Palpatine, though, because this is something that he would be interested in. We know that he has with Plagueis. We know that he's they've flirted with creating life and preventing death. And then some of the things around those. So if they've done something different with the genetic template and it's stable, and they did something with it, I could see where Palpatine would be interested in not necessarily destroying it, unless that's the last thing that they have to do. They don't have a choice but to destroy it, because we're not going to let anybody else have this type of, I'm going to use the word technology very loosely here for that, because I think that's exactly what it is, right? You've got a genetic specimen now, and again, something very unique if that's what it is.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I know a question that a lot of people have been asking. Our producer Mike Rondo's favorite character here, one of his favorites, Cody. What do you think we're going to see? We saw what I thought was Cody in the first trailer, which we're not really tying the two. We probably should have done that now I say that. But, and I think we did talk about whether or not Cody would be coming back when we first broke down the Sizzle trailer that we had, but we didn't see him in here. There's nothing that leads me to believe that he would, but do you think we are going to? I mean, he feels like a pretty important character considering the core group that's been assembled here.
It really does, because he was the one that did most of the work with the Bad Batch, right? So, but again, we know that Rex is the one with the relationship with them now, because they were in the trenches together. So do you need Cody? Can you differentiate Cody from any of the stormtroopers anymore? Right. And I think at that point, we do have to call them stormtroopers, because that's what they are. And they don't have any, doesn't seem like they've been further stripped of all of their, personality and uniqueness and everything else, because everyone's just in white armor. And I know we've had a lot of toys over the years, that have different colors and markings and all of that for even Stormtrooper era, but I'm sorry, they're all just there's no uniqueness to those guys anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
So would you even know who Cody was, or is this where they maybe bring Cody out? But again, we're not getting any suggestions that Rex is sticking around for any amount of time, or that anybody else is being recruited onto the team. So I would like to see Cody because I think that's an interesting dynamic, especially with Rex, but I just don't really see it happening right away, at least anything meaningful, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you too. It would be interesting to bring him in. Do they have to bring him in season 1? No. And if this thing goes on more a couple seasons, I think that makes sense to bring him in at that point. To your point, I don't even know how you would separate him unless he's out of the uniform and now he is, more than just, kind of a ground admiral, or what do you call him, a commander, right? Now he's an officer of some sort and he's out there, flying around on ships or whatever. Right. Maybe that's a way to kind of, highlight them, make them separate, and all that, kind of isolate them in that way. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting and intriguing. I mean, I think there's a lot of story to be told there, and just that relationship. I mean, it didn't feel like they were, especially with Cody kind of churning and taking, the shot or following orders on trying to take out Kenobi. There's some bad blood there that's going to probably surface at some point. But
so Tuan's got a question out there about whether the Bad Batch survives. So what do you think about that?
I was going to say that for the last question, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Right, Tuan.
Yeah.
You have to wait.
You have to wait, and it's a really good question. But okay, so let's talk about cameos quickly.
Sure.
Wolf and Gregor, right? We see them in Rebels. We know they had their chips removed. Gregor makes that comment about having it taken out. We know Rex is obviously with them. So do you think do we have to see them in this, or is that a story to be told somewhere else?
I think it's a story for something else. This is the Bad Batch's story, so why would we start dipping into some of those? Is that necessary? I don't think so at all. And again, we're not giving really any hints that even Rex is in this for very long. And it seems like you would have to. There's exposition to have there, and it doesn't feel like we're going to have a long season here to be able to do anything with it. So I'm guessing no, we won't see them. That they've not all come together in that respect yet. Because again, this is still pretty close from the whole events at Mandalore and Order 66 and everything else. So I think this is something that's still very fresh, and those guys probably don't come together until a bit later on.
Okay. What about Ahsoka?
I don't think we see her at all. I don't know. And again, it means nothing for the Bad Batch at this point, right? They're she's connected to Rex. She's not connected to the Bad Batch at all. I don't think she's ever met them, right?
No, I mean, I would. No, and I don't know that
she was on a hologram somewhere else, but not around them. So
yeah. I mean, and my thing is on the. You're right. I know Dante asked a question about, hey, is this going to be multiple seasons long? If it's just 6 episodes, then all these cameos, as cool as they would be, as nice it would be to kind of link all this stuff together, probably not going to happen, right? Just there's not, like you said, there's just not enough time to tell all these stories and give you all the background and exposition to build that up. But if they extend this on, multiple seasons over the course of, 10 years, and I'm just throwing a number out there, I don't know what it is, and every season's, a year later or something, and we see how they're kind of, adapting to the times and kind of going with the flow of what's happening in the galactic in the galaxy as the Empire continues to grow in power. Maybe there's an opportunity to kind of pull in some of these characters and tie them together. But that would be the only way I would see it, right? It doesn't, nothing from the trailers is giving us a hint or sense that that's going to happen in this season.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, all right. So in that same vein, Darth Maul or Kenobi himself, do we see any kind of a link there? I mean, there could be a way you could argue that, they're trying to tie all these TV series together. So they're going to give you something.
Again, I just don't think it's one of those questions as to why and how and what sense does it make? And Kenobi is laying low, and I don't know that again, where we're at with that picture is that everybody is just super laying low. They're not coming across one another yet. And I just don't think it makes sense unless, like you were saying, we start to progress through these next 20 years and they're still around. That begs a lot of questions though about, how long clones could survive. Of course, we've seen that with in Rebels, but it's does it make sense for them to continue surviving, or do we even, well, again, we'll get there in a minute, but I just don't think we need any of that. I don't necessarily want to see Kenobi yet. And if I were Disney and Lucasfilm, I would probably want to keep Kenobi very, very quiet until we get to the Kenobi series. and just do all the things there rather than have to, again, work with another set of canon story and work all of it into that too. So I think for this point, I think Kenobi and Maul to an extent now are all hands off.
Yeah. Isaac had an interesting. Ahsoka will save Cody from Rex, who's about to kill him, and then it says when Ahsoka is in Kashyyyk, she better save Cody from the inhibitor chip. In a redemption arc after that, he could become Fulcrum. Oh, that'd be kind of interesting. Yeah. Does he go through a redemption arc? I don't know. He would have to be established a little bit more. Not, I mean, we had him in the Clone Wars series, yes,
but he's really had no development for the most part.
Yeah, he's just kind of there. I think we just like him a little too much. Maybe we're enamored with him when we shouldn't be. Okay, so
it's that orange armor, man. It's good stuff.
It's the armor. It's got to be the armor. Yeah. But all right, so are there any? Because we have got more, and I'm not going to keep going through these. I mean, we were talking like Boba Fett, Jabba the Hutt. Or do you think there's be any other cameos, or do you think it's just really we're just playing with a very finite amount of time in 6 episodes?
I think that's probably where we're at. And again, I'm okay with a small story, right? And focusing on just these 4 or 5 characters, or 6 characters, however many it ends up being, and really going through what their journey in this weird, changing time is. And given that their experiences, everything else. So I like a smaller story, and that they're really kind of staying outside of Coruscant. Let's not be in Coruscant because that doesn't make any sense to be there, and being in some of these other places, but you've still got these threats. And I think it's kind of cool we get Fennec Shand. I was a little, I didn't really know what to feel about that when it first, came out, because it just seemed, Ming-Na Wen never really looks that old. She just looks fantastic all the time. Right. And, but so I know at least from a character perspective, the age works, but again, I like smaller storytelling. I think that it can be done really well in a really interesting way within these broader environments and understanding what's going on with the galaxy. And they can run across, they've got enough problems with just running into their brothers.
Yes. Yeah, they're on the run there. All right. Before we get to the final question of do they live, do we get any big shocking moments? I think some of the stuff we've talked about already could be considered big moments, shocking moments. And I'm talking about in the vein of like, the Darksaber reveal, or Luke coming in at the very end of, season 2, or Boba Fett showing up at the beginning of season 1. Do you think we're going to get any big reveals like that, or anything that would shock us?
I would like to say yes. I just don't know what it would be. To me, it would probably be, I mean, I know Dante was kidding, but if we got something like, so Dante said in the chat, Rey's mom. All right. And this is for a different question, but at the same time, you talk about shocking things. I mean, again, this is something that we know around this timeline. Palpatine is prepping things for the future of sorts. And, these kids would be kids around this time, I suppose. I haven't done the math to work out the timeline of all of that, but I know that's come up a few times that, these are the heirs of, Palpatine that become Rey and all of that. But, I think, for me, the thing that'll be shocking to go into the next question is going to be, deaths and how this concludes and how many make it out and what we feel from that, and I think that's going to be I think for me, it's going to be that emotional gravity, just like Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order. It doesn't necessarily mean someone has to die, but some big transition that removes them from us. And unfortunately for these guys, it probably will mean some sort of death in the family, if you will.
Yeah. This one's hard to answer because Filoni, they've done a pretty good job on Disney Plus of keeping the really big reveals hush hush, right? No one expected Baby Yoda, Darksaber. I mean, the list goes on and on of different things that were revealed, even Luke to some extent. There was a lot of speculation, but really no one had anything outside of high hopes and, that. But yeah, so it is kind of hard to say. At least with season 2 of The Mandalorian, we had something to work off of. And this, we really don't. I mean, we have season 7. We have their origins, but we just don't know enough about where they are, in relative to the timeline of just after Order 66. You've got you've got Omega now, who's kind of throwing a wrench in everything. It makes you wonder, okay, why is she here? My guess is it's probably, whatever the big shocking reveal moments are probably tied around her in her storyline and what the Bad Batch are really just trying to do at this point. Like, are they just going to be on the run? Are they trying to settle in? What is their purpose? And I think that's to be determined. I'm hoping that gets defined earlier on, like in that first 70-minute episode. I mean, I think it has to be, right? If it's 6 episodes, we got to know exactly where we're going. And from there, I think we can probably speculate further on, where things may go astray or, not go according to plan, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
They're going to establish it very early on what's going on and what that path and that transition is going to look like. So
yeah,
I'm expecting a lot from the 70-minute episode in order to really set that stage. They've
Yes.
really got to set it well. And to your point earlier, we've only got a few days until the next episode comes out. Right. So it's
3 days.
yeah. So Tuesday and then again on Friday, and that'll be a
Mhm.
normal Friday release. Right.
Yes.
So yeah. So this is going to be a interesting what that fourth episode looks like. And again, we're kind of used to 4-episode arcs. So does it keep following that train, or is it going to, or that trend rather, or is it really just 6 episodes? I'm guessing kind of closer to 8 at this point.
Right. Yeah. 6 or 8, somewhere there will be right online. In line. Okay, we'll get to the final question. This will be the last thing. Do they live? And if they don't, how do you expect them to die?
I think some of them will live. I don't think all of them will. And we're already getting pretty strong hints that might be something that's going on with Crosshair, and maybe not. Maybe it's all misleading. But at the same time, how are they going to die though? Well, I guess you could probably put engine on there, vaporizing as one potential
one way.
one potential way. But yeah, I think again, I think it means the most if they suffered their demise at the hand of their brothers. And I mean, and this is one of those times where if you did have a Cody surface or someone like that is recognizable to the fan base, and they were the ones to do it, or even Kaminoan somehow or something like that, someone that really has some sort of gravity to them of why it would mean something for them to take that from them, for them to take their lives. So, I think something like that would be the most thing. I think some of them do survive though. But and especially with Omega, I really don't know what to make of that until we've got some better idea of how the kid fits into the total story arc right now.
Yeah. So I don't know that any of them survive. Like I would love for them, some of them to survive, maybe even one or two, like an Echo, given how much he's been through. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would suck to lose him just because how close he is. But part of me feels like it is going to be a Rogue One ending to some extent. I mean, I'm not literally saying they're going to be there and bomb's going to go off or anything. A Death Star is going to blow them up. But it would be cool to have some sort of betrayal, whether that's Crosshair or something else. Maybe it's just their own brothers that end up turning them in some way, or catching up with them and turning them in. But my thing is the Bad Batch are an army, and I don't see like them being shot down by a platoon of stormtroopers clones. While would be terrible. I would like to see Vader. Like I would like to see Vader be like the one that finally catches up with them and exterminates them, right? And does so, and let them go out in a full glory, really kind of shining, doing all the stuff that they do, and just realizing they truly are no match for somebody like Vader. The fact that they're clone troopers. I mean, there's a whole Anakin piece of it as well. And, not to digress, but I think you and I are in agreement, or at least we've talked about it, if my memory serves me correct. But Vader at this point is so anti-Empire. It's for me, it's why he justifies killing officers every second. He doesn't care. He hates all of these people. He lives in a world of hell at this point, right? And so if it just means he gets to kill these people off like nothing all day long, he's fine with that. And to me, it feels like these guys could be, they would be an extension of that. Maybe even worse because they didn't have the chips and they're out there kind of doing their own thing and they're mucking with his plans and all that. But, is that too fanboyish, right? Is that just kind of, again, following the same path of season 2 of The Mandalorian where Luke comes and rescues? Now we get the antithesis of that where Vader comes in not to rescue, but to destroy. But I think that would be a good way to go. I mean, who wouldn't want to die at the hands of Darth Vader? But do you feel like it's too much of a Rogue One scene?
Well, yeah, does Palpatine get his hands dirty again, which seems unlikely at this point, but we know he's attempted to in the past. Well, I will disagree with you a little bit on Vader though, because if you remember from the comics, like he snaps Commander Fox's neck for failure when they were going after Jocasta Nu, and they had trapped her in the temple, I believe, right?
Yeah,
in the library, and because he made a mistake. And so I think at this point, while I agree with you on some levels, I think it's more Vader is so invested in the Empire because he has sacrificed so much to make the Empire happen.
That's all he got left.
That's right. That's all he has now. So he's going to do everything he can in order to protect this from further chaos and from wiping anybody that's against them, which is really anybody who's not with them, right? And to wipe them out. And so it's a good theory. I think Vader getting involved could very well be a thing. And we talk about shocking type of moments. I think that would qualify. I mean, some of it, like I remember with Rebels when he showed up and he was just not to be messed with, and it was great to see it. And I think while he's still in a transition himself, I think with Anakin and Vader and with all of the mechanicals and whatnot, I think it would still be, he's still got this raw hatred and anger right now that I think would be really interesting to see at these moments here after he's been effectively remade, and it's kind of a rebirth for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be pretty fun. And again, he is trying to eliminate chaos at this point. So I think that's kind of where I sit more on that one.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to, yeah. And the only reason I went there again is because, I mean, that we've not seen them fail yet. And that's not to say they won't this season, but I can't think of a time where the Bad Batch has failed. I mean, they've pulled off everything, and they've got, I mean, what is the comment? So one of them makes a comment like, we've never lost the battle or something like that. Right.
Right.
And that would be really cool if that just continued through the series until whenever the final episode was. And the one battle they lose was the battle they were never meant to win, which is going up against somebody like Lord Vader.
Right. And who do you send in to destroy an army? You send Vader.
Yes.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
So, or maybe Palpatine jumps in with him. Who knows? It'd be kind of an overkill, but possible.
Very possible.
Well, I think that's going to do it. So thanks for, I guess, everybody that joined us live. This has been a good conversation. A lot of great comments in here, except Ray's mom's question. And this, I think we're going to release this. It won't be out next week. So unless you're Patreon, if you're Patreon, you'll get it next week. I think it's going to be 2 weeks before we get to the general release on that. So it'll be just a few days before May 4th, and this comes out. And I guess as far as programming notes, we'll be back to do Into the Dark. I know someone, I think it was Darth Wint, had asked on YouTube whether or not we were going to be covering that. Yes, we're going to come back and do Darth Wint. We're going to come back and do
Darth Wint character deception.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You guys haven't heard of this Darth character, but he's pretty cool. But no, we'll be back to do Into the Darkness. So this is, or Into the Dark, which is by Claudia Gray. That'll wrap up the High Republic until we get to June. Right. Then this show will air, and then we're going to come back and do the first episode of the Bad Batch on May 6th? Is that what I said? Yep. Yeah, May 6th. So that what? Wednesday? Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. May the 4th is Tuesday this year, and we'll be out in Austin for that.
Yes, that's right. So we'll do that, and then we'll pick up the second episode, which airs on that Friday, that following Sunday. So all that to say, and it sounds confusing because I'm making it more confusing than it is, but we're just basically going to follow the same formula that we did with the Mandalorian. So episode comes out 2 days later, we'll break it down to the nth degree until you're just sick of it. So look forward to that, because we have a lot of fun doing that, as you can tell by this little 2-minute trailer that we've turned into an hour and 17 minutes. What do we got? Anything? Any final words? Any shout outs? Anything we got? Get out of here? Join us over on Discord, eargluemedia.com/Discord, because when the Bad Batch does come out, we when we were doing Mandalorian, we would do a watch party sometimes the day after, maybe that evening after. We're not at 3 a.m. Sorry, Albert. But we would get together and do a watch. I know you will be. But we were doing watch parties on Disney Plus. You could get like 5 or 6 people together. So we were doing some of that. So come out to Discord if you want to potentially jump into those with us, and we'll do those on a kind of a Friday night, Saturday night type of thing. And it's a lot of fun. And of course, you got a lot of great conversation in there. So eargluemedia.com/Discord. Good job. All right. With that, I guess we'll let you go. We'll be back in just a couple weeks with more of the High Republic, and then we'll get into the Bad Batch. I'm excited, man. I've been waiting for this for a while. So we'll see y'all then.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.